world, and in particular the sections of our continent. There is no doubt, Honorable Speaker, that these disruptions have caused increase in fuel prices and also availability in parts of other African nations. There is no doubt, Honorable Speaker, that these rises and this price increase will also cause increase in other goods and other related products that use fuel as part of its production process. But the question we will ask ourselves, Madam Speaker, is what will we grapple with as a nation? Should we be concerned more about shortage of fuel or availability of fuel at a premium price? The question that we will always need to ask ourselves is how do we run our economy and how do we maintain the production within our economy even with the disruptions that are happening within the oil sector in the country. It is no doubt that there have been also, Honorable Madam Speaker, about the strikes that have been caused by those who are directly using fuel as transportations and as a means of, as a main means of their production. And the thing that we are bringing out today in this House is so that we can be able to discuss as a country and discuss as a nation what aspects of our fuel sector do we need to do. First, Honorable Speaker, is the question of investment in the oil sector. We need to increase our capacities within the oil storage systems so that we can be able to have fuel available even with the prices increasing. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, is another question of the regulations that govern the fuel pricing. The first thing that I have in mind is it possible to have more time, to be able to have more time so that we can be able to allow the public participate in any prices increases and anticipation, so that we can have, let's say, currently we have 30 days through EPRA, that EPRA must announce new prices every other month. Is it possible to have these regulations change that we can have it after every 90 days, and within the 90 days, we will be able to adequately inform Kenyans and those who are having issues, those who use fuel, to be able to prepare themselves for the shocks that are within the industry. Further, Honorable Speaker, is the question of also having the discussion that has been ongoing in the media, that we can be able to reduce IMLF funds, the levy that is currently being used and that has been securitized and committed to improving our roads, both maintaining them and developing them. The question then therefore we'll need to answer is, and the question that we'll need to ask ourselves so that we may be able to answer it is it better to have the deployment of this resource in the economy rather than using it to cushion those who only directly benefit in the prices changes and the prices of goods? So, Honorable Speaker, as I support and second this motion, these questions must come live amongst members, amongst Kenyans, and the decisions must come so that we can all contribute in deliberating whether stabilization that has been done by government through the Fuel Stabilization Fund is adequate. Two, whether the question of reducing further the levies and the taxes that have been subjected to oil and oil products is something that we need to look into. Three, whether the question also of different sources of fuel, like biofuels and the regulations that govern the biofuel usage within the country, so that we can be able to cushion Kenyans. I second, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Mics are not working, and the screen is not working, so just raise your hand. Honorable Junet. Okay. Yeah, let's get to Honorable John Murugara, then we'll come to Honorable Otiende, then we'll come to Ndindi.
All right. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. That reduced taxes on oil products. And recently, we had the reduction moving from 16% to 8% of VAT. That is a positive act for which this House should be commended. Number two, we have also made attempts to subsidize oil products so that the prices on our pumps can also come down and our citizens are able to afford those oil products. And this is what was done recently. There was a slight reduction. It may have been marginal, but the truth is there was a reduction. So as we debate today, is there anything we can do about the war in the Gulf states? We may not do anything about that, but we can do something when it comes to considering the levies and taxes that are actually put on these products. If there is any of them that we as a House can interfere with by bringing it down to lower the prices, nothing should stop this House from doing so, but bearing in mind that we need the taxes so that we are able to develop our country, and especially the taxes on oil products which go towards development of our roads. I do support this adjournment motion and urge this House to debate it soberly so that we are able to find a solution that is going to be of benefit to the people of Kenya.
Very well. Honorable members, this adjournment motion has been moved as per Standing Order 33. Every member gets strictly 5 minutes, unless by the leave of the House. Honorable Karoli.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to speak on this important matter. A very clear example, a very clear proof that Kenya is doing something wrong when it comes to managing its petroleum imports is the fact that when you look at our prices, Kenya is actually an outlier in the region. And this is so notwithstanding the fact that Kenya has several advantages that should make its oil products more affordable. We have geographical access to the sea, we have better petroleum infrastructure, we have more oil multinationals, we have better storage and pipeline infrastructure. Nonetheless, as of today, the inflation has climbed to 5.6, largely due to high cost of fuel. The economy has had to absorb about 20 billion shillings in 2 months over increased cost of fuel, and the economic growth forecast has actually been revised downwards to about 5%. And if you look at the prices, let me just give the House some comparisons. In Kenya, petrol is 214.25, diesel is 232.92. In Uganda, petrol is actually 200. While diesel is 199, equivalent of Kenya shillings. In Tanzania, petrol is 190, diesel is 189. Rwanda, petrol is 230, diesel is actually 225. And Ethiopia, I will not want to use that data because it is heavily subsidized. But if you look at the global comparison, on average, the global price of petrol per liter is about equivalent of 188 Kenya shillings, while global average for diesel is about 204 per liter. While in Kenya, as I've said, is 214 for petrol, which is 13.6% higher than the global average, and diesel at 232, which is about 17% higher than the global average. That clearly demonstrates that there's something Kenya is doing wrong. And Honorable Speaker, it is important that we understand what is wrong that we are doing. There's this animal we call G2G, which was introduced about 3 years ago for fuel imports. It lacks transparency. It has not secured competitive prices. What the experts will tell you, better market price discovery. Why? When you import oil, there's an item called premium. Premium is where the competition is. That is where the suppliers compete. Under the G2G framework, which was not fully disclosed to this House for interrogation, the premium was fixed at $110 per ton. That premium in global markets fluctuates. It's like the rate of exchange or exchange control, foreign exchange. In our case, it has been fixed for 3 years at $110 per ton. The global average for premium has been $60 per ton, meaning Kenya is paying over $50 more per ton. The regional average has been about $80 per ton, but ours has been fixed at 110. That is where the theft is. That is where Kenyans are being squeezed and are being conned on oil prices. And it is time to audit the G2G framework and to revise it and make better price discovery possible by allowing competition on what is called premium. If we don't do that, then we are conning Kenyans, and we have been doing it for 3 years. It is now time to call a spade and say the G2G has created a non-competitive market for oil procurement in this country, and it is time to audit and revise it. Secondly, the off-takers under the G2G framework is Gulf Oil, which is a small oil marketing company without the necessary wherewithal to bring into the market the place of better infrastructure, better storage, and the rest of them. Thirdly, Honorable Speaker, we are making a big mistake. The President on the ministers should not talk about oil prices. There's an independent regulator. One of the cardinal principles is independence of the regulator. We should leave these matters to EPRA to deal with them as an independent regulator. Going forward, we now need to agree to remove VAT completely in the short term, petroleum development levy completely, agree on how to establish strategic petroleum reserves by using either local tankerage facilities or offshore, where when prices are low, we buy. But most importantly, we need to allow the regulator to review the prices more frequently. Instead of the 30-day turnaround, we could do it within 14 days, so that when the price benefits, the consumer...
Complete.
The consumers may enjoy the benefits of lower prices. And finally, Madam Speaker, and thank you for giving me the extra 30 seconds, we need to diversify our sources of supply and routes. Not just strictly Strait of Hormuz. We can get oil from around the world if we use sophisticated means of trading. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. But G2G, it is time to bring it down because it is being used to scam Kenyans on oil prices. Thank you.
Very well. Member for Kiharu.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I just want to go direct to the point. And number one is that I wrote to Parliament when this issue happened, 2 letters actually, one for recall and the other one for consideration with specifics on the things that I'm proposing. And I am happy that tomorrow I'll be appearing before the Budget Committee to further those proposals. And on Friday, I'll be appearing before the Finance Committee. But, Honorable Speaker, I also find it unfortunate the earlier assertions in regards to the letter I wrote in terms of recalling Parliament. Honorable Speaker, as all of us know, as Kenyans know, the role of the Member of Parliament as to when they actually deposit the letter to the relevant office. It's not my responsibility to look for the holder of the office. He could be chairing a meeting in Bugoma, for example, for a political party, or any other, Honorable Speaker. It's not my role to look for them. And I say so because this issue went to the media way after I raised it. And Honorable Speaker, it is not my responsibility to call office holders to come back to the office and check the communication from various members.
Member for Kiharu, please do not challenge the Speaker's ruling. Okay. Be careful to just use your minutes to prosecute your issue.
The second thing, Honorable Speaker, that I want to raise, we now have a government that has been swallowed by the opposition. And the other way around, an opposition that is in government. We have leadership on both sides, on the government and the opposition, singing the same choir, Honorable Speaker. Who will stand in for Kenya's, Honorable Speaker, if we don't fill up the gap, Honorable Speaker? We must do what we must, Honorable Speaker, because the current situation...
Order, Member for Kiharu. Honorable Member for Sifuna.
Speaker.
What is out of order?
What's out of order, Madam Speaker, is I want to educate my younger brother that there is no opposition in Parliament. What we have in Parliament is majority side and minority side. And every member in accordance with the Constitution, is supposed to hold the executive accountable. You don't expect the minority to do, you don't have to be a minority to hold government accountable. Even the majority where you belong, that is why nowadays you are talking the way you are talking.
You've made your point,
So,
Honorable
Madam
Junet.
Speaker, no, let me finish.
It is
Madam
more
Speaker, the second
order. It is more of a point of information, not point of order. What is out of order?
the manner in which the member has spoken about how to call for a special sitting of the House. Madam Speaker, that matter is well articulated in the standing orders.
That
you
has
can form
been
your own
dealt
standing
with.
order.
Order, members. Honorable members, the Speaker already gave a ruling, and the member for Kiaru has been guided accordingly, because that issue has been dealt with. Honorable Karoli, there is no one on the floor. You cannot be possibly on a point of order. Member for Kiaru.
Honorable Speaker, I want to request Honorable Junet. An ignorant member cannot inform the House. I need no information from you. I know what I'm talking about. Honorable Speaker, the second point.
Honorable members.
Honorable Speaker.
Can we debate in decorum, honorable members?
I never asked for any information.
In decorum. There is no one on the floor so far. Honorable members, I'll indulge honorable member for Magarini, but honorable members, let us debate in decorum. It is important. I will give you. And you do not need to throw words to the speaker. Honorable members, I can hear you. Member for Magarini.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, is the honorable member for Kiharu, Ndindi Nyoro, in order to call an honorable member of this House ignorant? Is he in order to refer to an honorable member as
you
being
have made your point. And member for Kiharu, you certainly know the rules of this House. You know what is parliamentary, what is not parliamentary. Do not throw aspersions to your colleagues.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Can I continue?
Let me hear the member for Kiharu first.
Yeah. I'm doing my submissions, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, and I hope those minutes are not eating into my time, Honorable Speaker. The second thing, Honorable Speaker.
Member for Kiharu.
I want to...
Member for Kiharu, a point of order has been raised on you calling a member ignorant. I certainly agree with the honorable member that you cannot possibly call a member ignorant. So I will ask you to, please don't assist me, honorable members, do not assist me. Honorable member for Kiharu, the specific issue on ignorant, you will withdraw it.
Honorable Speaker, I never called any member ignorant. I said the information he was giving me was not sufficient enough to be an information, Honorable Speaker.
I'll give majority leader, then I'll give a minority whip.
Honorable Speaker.
I'll give you.
Honorable Speaker, you know, I had retreated to my office to attend to other business, but I had to come back quickly. When I had the member for Kiharu cast aspersions on the person of the Speaker, because you do not need to name anybody by name. But what you say could be casting aspersions, and I thank you, Honorable Speaker, because you guided the member that he cannot and he must never cast aspersions on the Speaker or any other honorable member. Two, Honorable Speaker, the issue raised by the minority leader was not you can rise on a point of information to inform the member who is on his feet. The member for Kiharu was not being informed. The leader of minority stood on a point of order and was speaking to the House. Therefore, the member for Kiharu has no choice other than to withdraw that reference, and he does not need to have mentioned a name, because if you ask for respect, you must also have the temerity to respect other people.
You have made your point.
And I know you are my younger brother. Listen to my advice. I'm only advising you. If you want to go far, learn to respect other people to earn your respect back. You do not. Honorable Speaker, I was saying, Honorable Speaker, through you to the member for Kiharu. when another member raises in his place, to inform the House on anything, whether it's on a point of order or a point of information, just be patient. The member for Kiharu this afternoon asked the House that we must, something I agree with him fully, we must allow dissenting opinions. That is why this is a chamber for debate. This is not a church where we sing choruses. But saying the person who was informing is ignorant or is... The Honorable Junet was not informing you. Junet informs more serious legislators.
You have made your point, Millie.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Honorable Ndindi has indicated that he did not use the word ignorant. And I think you can prove that from the House. Even when you are disagreeing with other members, you must disagree respectfully. Because, Madam Speaker, there's a lot that we can say if we were to go that direction. Madam Speaker, if Honorable Ndindi remembers when we were in the Budget Committee, I told him, wade carefully in this House. One day you might find yourself not as the Chair of Budget and with me as the Chair of Budget before this Parliament ends. Mr. Speaker, the only wrong thing I got was it's not me who's Chair of Budget, but he's sitting as non-Chair of Budget, and Atandi is the Chair of Budget. So I just want to encourage you, my brother, we've been there, done that, got a t-shirt. Even when you are debating, respect other honorable members. And Madam Speaker would call that we check. If indeed he called Honorable Junet ignorant, he needs to apologize so that is purged. Because his constituents did not elect him because he's ignorant. That's not up to...
No member is ignorant. I'm with you, Honorable Millie. Junet?
Madam Speaker, Madam Chair, first, this is a House of Record. I stood up on a point of order. I do not request you to give me a point of information because Honorable Ndindi is one of the least people I can inform, Madam Speaker, because we don't have that relationship of informing each other. But I was standing on a point of order to bring to your attention, and you asked me twice, what is your point of order? Twice on record. And I told you one is about the issue of how to recall the House for a special sitting, because he was disputing what the substantive speaker had said. Secondly, was the issue of, there's an issue I raised with him about what were some of the issues he raised. Now, he has turned the whole thing that I'm informing him. Why should I inform him? I don't come from Kiharu. Why should I inform you? And I don't intend to live in Kiharu.
I have heard all of you. And the one thing I agree with is what Majority Leader and all of you have said. We must maintain decorum in this House. We do not have to all agree, by the way. But Member for Kiharu, on one thing that I will fault you is that I heard you clearly say an ignorant member. I would want you to withdraw that on record, and then you can proceed and we can hear the rest of the submission.
Honorable Speaker, I would require that we actually check on the Hansard kindly, because I also recall I was insinuating on what he said, not the person, Honorable Speaker. And clearly, as you actually ruled yourself, Honorable Speaker, the member was out of order, Honorable Speaker. But for the continuity, because you are executing a very important issue, I withdraw, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, going forward.
I ordered withdrawal, not apology.
Yes,